This might be a little controversial, but your house is a bad investment. I'm sorry. I know we have been taught for decades that your home is the absolute best investment you can make, but it's not. And Warren Buffett actually agrees with me. What you actually need is the math behind why. Let's go ahead and break it down. To understand this argument, the first thing is to know what an investment is by definition. All right, so the definition, you can Google it, you can pull up a dictionary if you want, but the definition is the action or process of investing money for the profit. Okay, for keyword profit. All right, so we want to make money here. When it comes to investing, we have a bunch of choices, but today there are two primary options. We can invest in the stock market, and then there are those who believe their home is the way in which they want to invest. Now, Warren Buffett demonstrated this for us in 1971, and he talked about it in 2024. And here is what happened. In 1971, he bought a house for $150,000. Yes, houses at that point in time were $150,000. I'm mad about it, okay? Now, in today's standards, the house is worth $954,000, so close to $1 million house, all right? Now, what he did at that time, he had cash. He could have taken all of that cash, bought the house, called it a day. Now, the house today, or at the end of 2024 to be exact, was worth $11 million. So he took a $150,000 house, boom, worth $11 million on the market. That is a 70x return. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is a good investment. And that right there is why people will tell you a house is a great investment. Here is the thing. What part of the story did I not tell you? I didn't tell you the alternative here. What if Warren Buffett, because I told you he had, right? He had the money to buy the house in cash. He did not. He took out a mortgage and took that cash to buy shares of Berkshire Hathaway. Now, Warren Buffett could have rented. He did not. Okay, we're not talking about renting for his own. That's a whole different story, right? But he took it and bought shares of Berkshire Hathaway. Those shares that he bought were worth $2.72 billion. So now we're talking about a 6,250x return, a 70x return versus a 6,250x return, okay? 70 to a 4-digit return here, okay? That is the difference between the two. Now, you could be thinking, well, Kevin, a 70x return is still really, really good. How can you say that that type of return isn't something that we should be shooting for? All right, let's reframe this. Number one, I told you at the beginning, if you're investing, the objective is to what? Make profit. If you got an option to make 70x or 6,000x, which one are you supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be going for the 6,000. That's number one. Okay, let's look at that. Okay, you want to go for the 6,000. But I would also argue this. The 70x is actually much lower because most homeowners are bad at math. And here is why. Yes, he bought the house for 150. Yes, the house is worth 11 million. What is missing during that time? Now, if you own a house, and I do own a house, okay, I still don't think it's the best investment, right? But here's the thing. Over the life of your house, just like you would own a business, you have the cost of owning the home, the cost of a mortgage. And mortgage owners, you know for a fact, when you get that loan, there is a percent, right? And when you see there, you used to get a mortgage deduction. Most people don't get that now because of the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act. We'll see if this new bill is going to bring that back. But in either case, that is a cost. I have to count that. Right now, there's a hole in my deck I have to get fixed. That is a cost. I need to actually subtract those costs to really get what my true return is. I actually brought this up in a Business Insider article. So what it cost me wasn't, in this case, or in Warren Buffett's case, unless he did 0 repairs and no renovations from 1971 to 2024, it cost him more than just $150,000. He paid some taxes, he paid some interest on the mortgage, somebody had to make some repairs. I doubt it was him, right? all of those things go into the cost of the mortgage, right? Or the cost rather of the home. And you need to factor that in to get an accurate picture of what you actually made. Now, most of us, realistically, most of us are not going to make 70x on a home. Okay, we're not. Okay, but mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, when they tell you the best investment was their home and they made, I put in this much, I made 4x. Well, yeah, on paper, but in reality, they usually didn't remember exactly how much they had to redo, how much it cost to redo the payment, or when they added an extra story, or when they painted the house. All of that stuff is a cost. Just like you say, the cost of maintenance, every time that you spend money on getting an oil change, all that stuff, you don't really keep track of how much that cost you and how much the cost of ownership is in a car and how much money you actually lose when you sell the car. You know it loses value, but you don't count all of the things that went into it, all of the repairs to see how much money you truly lost. You just know that you bought it for this much, you sold it for this much, but you're not adding up all those oil changes. You're not adding up all the new tires that you bought to really see how much money you lost. Well, in this case, this is a reverse for a home. You're not counting in all the things you put into it to see how much you truly made, and it actually brings down the return in a bit, right? So let's say you bought a $150,000 home and you sold it, in this case, for $300,000. Over 30 years, let's say that you put in $50,000 of repairs and renovations and all these things, an HVAC system and all that stuff. Well, instead of going from I made $150,000 or I doubled my return, what you really did is just make $100,000. Still a very good return, but it is not what you thought it was. Which brings us to this. Well, making $100,000, Kevin, that is still a very good investment. That is still an amazing return until you start to see what another option could be like. So when I'm comparing it to the stock market, which is again an investment, that is what we're comparing two things to be, an investment. I don't have to pay maintenance cost on a stock. You can get a free investing app, put that money in the stock market, and just leave it, right? Until I sell, I'm not really paying too much. If I'm buying an index fund, you're not really paying too much. You certainly aren't paying HVAC fees, right? For something like that. You're not paying, insurance cost for a home. You're not paying mortgage costs on a home and things like that. Now, is this anti-home ownership? Because I know somebody in the comments is going to say that. All right, I own a home. I'm not anti-home ownership. What I am saying is, as I said earlier, you really do have to do the math before you say it's the best investment. Before you say it is the best investment. Now, there's also someone who says, well, home ownership is better than renting. I have not compared home ownership to renting because we have already defined that investing is for profit. If I'm renting, then I'm not there for profit. Why would I compare something that is for profit for something that's not? Those two things actually don't make sense. So it doesn't make sense to compare the two. That side of the equation. It's, are you here to make money on a home? If that's the case, well, let's compare it to the stock market and see which one is best. And in most cases, we overestimate how much we made on a home. We don't have a spreadsheet for how many times we call the plumber, how many times we fix the deck, if you got a landscaper, how much you got to spend on trees and all that stuff, and how much, we're not keeping track of all that to really see whether or not this is something that is truly a good investment or not. My last argument is this. I would rather consider my home, again, I am a homeowner, I'm not anti-home ownership, I don't know why people assume that, it is something that I own that may rise in value. That's fine. If I make money, great. If I don't, it's a place that I live, like most other items, right? I like nice watches. If I sell it and it happens to go up in value, cool. But I like it. It's great for my lifestyle. Maybe not a watch is great for my lifestyle, but my home is great for my lifestyle. I like what I get to do. I like the freedom. My kids love it. And it's great for where I am right now. If I make money on it, great. If I make 12%, if my money doubles or something, cool, but I'm not here to absolutely make money. I think that is the way that we as homeowners, and really Americans in general, should actually be looking at things. So no, it's not the best investment in the world. And honestly, I'm not sure if it's really an investment at all. I would love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to argue and disagree with me in the comments. But I'm gonna tell you this. The math is the math. And if you sit here and tell me you made all this money on your house, before you say that, I need to know what your interest rate was and all the money you spent during that mortgage period. I need the cost. I need that percent. Okay? If you don't have that, you actually do not know. Okay? I need the math. I was a math teacher. Okay, I taught 7th grade math in Dallas, Texas. Hit me with the numbers, then we can talk. And again, I didn't say you couldn't make money. I just said it wasn't the best investment. If you want more content like this, you will check out this video right here.